Hiya, I'm that James Wisdom, and today I'm going to be unboxing Roll Camera. So hello everybody, today I've got another Kickstarter unboxing for you, and I'm going to be unboxing this game called Roll Camera. Now Roll Camera is a dice rolling game and a dice drafting game for 1 to 4 players. It takes 45 to 90 minutes. It's for ages 10 plus, and interestingly enough is a cooperative game. So this is an entirely cooperative game. Each player does play a different character and you have different individual abilities, but the premise of the game is that you're all working together to complete a film. You're all working as different members of a film crew to complete the film under budget and within the schedule, right? So that's what your aim of the game is, and you do that by rolling dice and then drafting those dice into different positions on the board, drawing cards, that kind of thing. I really like the way this game is designed overall. It's got a really unique feel to it in terms of the visual design of the board and things, and it's a really neat concept, the idea of a cooperative game where everybody's working together to complete a film, not to beat a bad guy or to survive a shark attack or one of those kind of things. It's a lot kind of lower stakes, but in a way that's kind of really interesting and really fun, and I thought it was a bit different in a way that I could really get behind. It's got a really unique box. You can see on the back here you've got some kind of interesting design work on here. It's quite a big box, but we'll have a look at the box itself as we get to the table, which we'll do right now. So here we are at the table, and this is Roll Camera, the filmmaking board game by Malachi Ray Reppen. Apologies for that pronunciation because it was probably awful. You can see the box here, some cute beans that they use as kind of the signature style of Keen Bean Studio. And let's just rotate the box around. It's quite a hefty box. You can see on the side here, Keen Bean Studio, 1 to 4 players, 45 to 90 minutes, ages 10 plus, cooperative game. And then let's flip it around to the back so we can have a quick look at what's inside. Now we can see what's in the box itself. You've got this nice board here, lots of cards. You can see a little list here if you want to actually read what's in the box. There it is. It's a little bit of flavour text here. The lights are melting the costumes. The camera system ran off with the star. We're burning through time and money faster than 35mm film at 120 frames per second. This movie production is a total disaster. Luckily, we've got you. Use your famous creativity, problem-solving skills and brilliant ideas to get us back on track. That's why we hired you, isn't it? Reset, back to 1, and roll camera. So that's the flavour on the back here. That's cute. I like it. It's a nice little thing. So now let's just get into the box. Now, as I mentioned before, this has got quite a unique box. There are 2 box versions of this game. I picked the one that's more unique and creative, but basically this is a clapperboard, so it folds open at the top here, and that's how we get in and out. So let's do that. Do it this way, and then you can see as I slide this out there's a game trays insert here, which I believe is actually in the shape of a film reel. So there it is. That's the pile of stuff that comes out, and you just empty the box like that. You just tuck it in and then it just opens up like so, which is kind of cool. I have to say I like the box, and it does actually snap as a clapperboard as well. So it's a cool box. It's a fun idea. If you're not into that, the actual base game, I believe the retail version of the game doesn't come with this box. It comes with a normal sort of slide the lid on box. So let's pop that to one side and look at the stuff that's in it. So this is the rule book here. It's designed to look a bit like a script. So let's open it up and have a look inside. It's quite a thick rulebook, as I can immediately feel. There's a lot to it, but that's because there's a lot of nuance to the rules here. The premise is relatively straightforward. You roll these dice and you then use the different faces to trigger different things by placing them on the blue squares on the board or on your own player board. And that's the basic premise of the game. But of course all the cards do lots of different things. The different spots on the boards trigger different events and things. So there's a lot of nuance and a lot of complexity to this game, even though the mechanics themselves are actually relatively straightforward. So coming in here, this is the game setup, so you can see a slightly better view of the player boards, the player aids, the dice, all of the stuff there. You can see that it's actually using a font that reminds us of a classical script, which is kind of cool. This is all a kind of cool look to the book. I would also encourage you to have a look at this little bit here, which has got 2 QR codes, one for a turn-by-turn walkthrough and one for a how-to-play video. Both these videos are quite good. The how-to-play video is reasonably long, but it goes through everything you need to know. And then the turn-by-turn walkthrough actually just goes through the first few turns of a game if you find it easier just to learn by doing, and it just walks you through a few of the turns. So check those out, have a scan of those codes. Hopefully you paused that, scanned it, scroll through. These are the different faces we're going to see on the dice here, the different squares, what they mean, what all of these different points that you can put the different dice on are. Going through here, so there's loads and loads of stuff. You can see it's explaining the main board actions continued, shooting a scene continued, quality, player boards, the individual player roles. So we can see the player roles. So we've got director, production designer, the star, producer and editor. Oh, and of course cinematographer there. Can't forget the cinematographer. I'd probably go for production designer. It's more my cup of tea. Maybe cinematographer, but production designer is probably my favourite of those roles. But there you go. End of game, scripts, script symbols, what they all mean, and then the film award type thing. They also encourage you to share your finished films, because you have these randomized films that you created at the end. So they do encourage you to share them on the website. You can find a link to the actual website for the game in the description of this video, in the downstairs area, as well as a link to it on BoardGameGeek if you want to check it out there as well. But that's enough of the rules. Let's look at the next set of things. Now these are the tiles for the sets, the production sets basically, and you're going to put these in different combinations to try and create the right sort of shapes to lay your dice on. You basically lay your dice on any of the blue spaces, and that's that. These blocked things get in your way at certain points, and I presume this is supposed to be look, this pointless keen bean token has no gameplay purpose. It's just for fun. So they've got a fun thing. They like a lot of fun in this game. It's all very tongue-in-cheek and very silly, which is, I think, probably part of the reason I like it. Just the kind of the tone of everything really suits my sensibilities. Backs of the tiles here. These are nice. I didn't actually know that these backs of the tiles looked like this, and they're really nice, actually. These set pieces there. Let's pop that to one side, like that. And then look at the main board. Now, the main board folds out. It's actually a lot smaller than I expected. I expected this board to be a lot bigger than it is. So there you go, that's the board there. You can see all of these different things. Now these set piece tiles that I talked about earlier, they get placed in here, and you're going to buy them. You're going to try and place them in here to create the right shapes to build your set pieces that allow you to complete the part of the storyboard and place it in the editing room, which is the finished film basically. But that's the main board. The rest of the components are in this nice game trays tray insert here as well. Now this is nice and moulded with the Roll Camera logo on the top. And you take that off and you can see everything has a space that it deserves to be in. These are our individual player boards. There are 5 of these, I believe. It looks like, it feels like there might be more. No, they're just quite thick. Or is there 6 of these? 6 of these. There's 6 different ones. Now, technically, this game is designed for 1 to 4 players, but you can technically play with 6 players if you want to, because it's a cooperative game. The only problem with a cooperative game with 6 players is it's likely to take a very long time before you get back to your turn. So you either need to play really collaboratively, so everybody stays involved in the game the whole time, or be very patient with one another as each person is taking their go. Now the boards themselves basically just give you different individual personal abilities. So we've got the director here, who can do different things. We've got the star here, who has star power. You've got the production designer, and you can see that each one has different abilities. I'm not going to go through and explain what each of these things does, but basically every time you see this little star with an up or a down arrow, it's about whether the quality is increasing or decreasing. Whenever you see this green money symbol, it's going to reduce, or it's going to increase the cost, or it's going to reduce the amount of money you have in the pot, your budget basically. These yellow icons here, all ideas, cards. You know, so those are the things you're looking at when you're seeing these different icons. And of course, these blue ones are where you place dice. And so if you've got a specific thing like this, that is that specific dice face has to be there. Next, we've got the cinematographer. Similar things. here, that blue square indicates a dice. This indicates a problem. This is a discard icon. This is moving in the editing phase of things. That's for the editor, sorry. And then the producer. This one's going to be about gaining money, that kind of thing, cutting corners to gain more money, but adding a problem. So those are the actual player cards, the player boards. They're decent thickness. They're not super thick boards, but they're, you know, nice quality. They feel good and they look nice, and they've got that fun kind of thing on them. They're just really a place for you to put the dice. Speaking of the dice, let's just quickly get them out and have a look at them. So those are all the dice there. You've got art, or design, you've got camera, you've got star power or actors. They basically represent different roles. So this is a camera person, this is a set designer, this is a lighting specialist, this is a sound person, this is an actor, and then this one is VFX, and this is counting as a wild one, so it counts as any of the faces that you want. So you can sort of say, well, we'll do it in post, basically. That's the we'll do it in post kind of thing. So we'll fix the lighting in post, we'll fix the sound in post, we'll CG in a character in post or something. I don't know. Change what they're holding, set design, all that sort of stuff in post. Nice little embossed dice. So the dice is actually kind of embossed. The shape is kind of cut into there, and then they're just printed in black. Nice and crisp looking prints by the looks of it, and those are cool. Next, let's take this guy out. This is your budget and schedule board. It's also got a on your turn play order here. I do tend to look through these play order things, so you get an idea of how an individual turn works in the game. And that's basically what we'll do here. So first thing you do on your turn is draw a problem card. Those go at the top of the board, and those cause issues that you will have to overcome. Roll the crew dice, so that's those. Then you assign the dice. So for example, we say, well, we want to put one there. We say it has to be an actor, or it has to be a camera there, so we can command one of those two people to do something, and that's basically it. Assign the dice. Once you've done all your things, you take all the dice off the board again. That's the clear dice phase, and then you advance the schedule. So you say, well, that's one day done, and then you pass this on, and then the next player does their roll and does the rest of it. If you look at the back of this, you will see the difficulties. So these are the starting positions. So we can start with 1 to 2 players on easy, or 1 to 2 players on normal, or 1 to 2 players on hard, or 3 players on hard, depending on the number of players, will depend on how difficult the game is, I guess. So let's do it 2 players on normal, for example, and then we set the difficulty to 2 players on normal here. So that's the cost, and that's your time, and then you can see that's your starting point for these. And the money goes down as things happen in the game, as you pay for set pieces, that kind of thing. And the schedule runs down every turn you pass this on. So really, you have to get this done in 9 turns. Is it 9? Yes, 9 turns in order to do this in a 2-player game, unless you use different abilities to give yourself more time and put yourself up on this. So this is quite nice. It's quite stiff, so it's not likely to just sort of roll and you do, you know, touch it kind of thing. So it's quite stiffly done. It's well made. You're not likely to be passing this and then finding that someone's knocked it and you're like, oh, I can't remember how much we had, and having to guess. So that's good. Next then we've got the cards. It's all cards from now on. Let's look to start with at the mini cards. And these mini cards are going to be the different parts of the script. So if I understand correctly, we draw 5 of these, bottom halves of the script, and 5 of the top half of the script at the beginning of every game. So you will have different things at the end, and these are all to do with scoring. They're all to do with the increase and decrease of the quality, and these all resolve right at the end of the game. So these aren't something that resolve during the game, although they can change during the game. That's why you draw 5 to start with. But whatever is revealed at the end is what you score at the end of the game. So let's pop those back in there, and then let's get out the problem cards. Now these aren't all problem cards by the looks of it, so we go back to about here. Yep, so these are problem cards, and then these cards here are our set cards. So these are our storyboards. We've got the design on these, and these are the kind of the main cards you want to be looking at. These are the ones that have got the most fun designs, I guess, and these are the things you're trying to complete within the game. So in this case, like, you have to create this pattern with the dice in the set area. Once you've done that, you've completed this card, you flip it over, and then you've got the final scene, which then goes on your board over on the other side. There are different types of these cards for different styles of film. So the ones we were just looking at, those were the emotional ones. Then you've got a bunch of kind of action ones here, which are in green, and you can see green on the other side as well. Then you've got comedy in the purple here. Those are the comedy ones. And you can see the little icons to tell you what type they are. You've got then violent film, I think this one is. The red ones are violent. And then emotional or dramatic moments, I think, is the idea of the yellow ones as well. So those are the things you're trying to complete in the game. Now, what stops you completing those things, or makes it more difficult to complete those things, are your problems. And then there are tons of problems. As you can see, there are more problems than there are solutions, or more problems than there are things to do. And these will be drawn throughout the game. So as we saw in the turn order card, draw a problem card. So at the beginning of every turn, we're going to draw one of these cards. Now, these things do change the base rules of the game, which again is another reason that the rulebook is so complicated. And what they do is they actually supersede what's in the rulebook most of the time. So usually, if it says it's on a problem card, it might change the basic rules of the game. Looks quite good though, as I say. I'm really looking forward to playing it. And this is our last set of cards, which is going to be our ideas cards, I presume. And it looks like there's a few more problems as well. So the backs of the problem cards look like that. I didn't show you previously. You'll actually find that they all have different icons on. So whilst this one has got this icon here, it suggests it's going to be a problem with the sets, whereas this one is going to be a problem with ideas. This is a problem with your editing. This is a problem with dice. So you get an idea of what type of problem is going to come out next, and you can kind of strategize around, like, oh, do we want a problem with finances? Can we afford that right now? And that'll then give you an idea of what to prioritize in your go on that round. So let's have a look at these. These are our player aids for each of the different boards. So it tells us what each of the abilities does. As I said already, I'm not going to go through these. You've also got the turn orders and how things resolve as well. The main board actions on there as well. So just quick start guides that help you understand your individual players. We then got our ideas. Now, ideas are an interesting part of this game because everybody's going to have a set of 3 ideas, I think it is, or a hand of ideas anyway. But these are private and you're not supposed to share these with the other players. So you hold these in your hand. Nobody can see them. They'll only see the backs of your cards. And you actually use dice to say, I'd like us to have a meeting to propose an idea. And then each player proposes one of their ideas, which is supposed to help you as a group win the game. Now, theoretically, you can play with all these cards face up on the table, but the idea is that each player has their own individual things so that everybody can play sort of an individual game. Everybody gets their own kind of say in how the game is going to progress. So you've got individual actions that each of you can take, but you've also got individual ideas that you can propose to help with the game, and you can only do that when someone suggests on the board by laying one of the dice, oh, actually, I think we should have a production meeting for ideas. And there's loads of these, and they're all intended to help you with different things. And again, you've got icons in the top here to tell you what they help you with, just to give you a rough idea. So some were with your finances, some are with the ideas themselves, some are with problems, some are with sets, so on and so forth. Some are with quality, time. Yeah, and you can just see there's loads and loads of these, all individually illustrated with these fun bits of artwork. Then finally, we've got the production company cards. Now, these are extra cards that you use for a more complicated game, basically. So the first few times you play it, they suggest not to use these, but you've got these different production companies. These companies will have specific things you need to do to make the game slightly harder. So it might be a case of, regardless of what the script says, the final arrangement of the scene in the editing room must follow the order of colours in the colour spectrum. So the production company says, no, it has to go this way, and it has to be in this order, and that's what you end up with. So that then might impact the scoring at the end of the game and the quality of the film overall, which may push you up or down on that sliding scale, making you fail or succeed at the game. But those are all of your cards then. So last thing that I haven't shown you is just this little guy here. Now this is just a token for your quality track, and that slides up and down. So that's it, that's everything in the box. What I've done here is I've actually put everything on the board so you can see everything together. We've looked at everything in isolation so far, and I feel like it will make a lot more sense to you if you see the board kind of laid out. And I'll give you just a quick once over on the rough idea of how all of these things work together. So what you've got over here is the script, and these will kind of adjust the quality at the end of the game for each green card you've got in your editing room at the end, and each pair of yellow and purple next to one another, basically. And you complete these things in the editing room by completing the storyboards. To complete the storyboards, you have to complete these set pieces here. So you'd end up drawing these set pieces out. So let's see, we could put that one there, for example, and then maybe that one there. And then when I roll my dice, I can go through and I can find the things I need here. So I need a light, which can go there. I need a talent, which can go there. I need a camera to go there, and I need one of those to go there. So I could complete that with those dice. That's then completed. It flips over and goes into the editing room, and the game ends when we've completed all of those. I've got 2 more dice left that I can do other things with. So I could, for example, put that on to get an intern. What that does is allows me to re-roll one of these dice. It's not really necessary for what I'm doing here, but you know, that's something you could do. But in doing so, I also need to then draw myself a problem card. So different things will gain you these problem cards. That gives me a problem I need to solve. Also, when we completed this storyboard, should have mentioned, we'd have used the timer here. We'd have said, well, that cost us 4 money, but it gives us 1 extra on our schedule, so that then changes that board. So finally then, let's pop this on here as another option for what we could do, and that then allows me to call a production meeting, and that's when we use these cards where the number of players would say, right, I've got this idea, and we all pitch our ideas, and we pick an idea to keep that we're going to use right now. We're going to discard another idea, and then we're going to keep one for later, and then that goes in this little extra section of the board down here. So that's, you know, then that's your ideas. So those are all the different types of cards, and what this does then is, from our start point, our quality will increase or decrease depending on what we do, and how we go about making this film that we're making here, and we want to end up at the end of the game when we've completed 5 of these, either being somewhere up here or right down here. Now this does look quite complex, as I say, but I think all of these different complexities will make this a really nuanced, replayable game, and I think that's the main thing. With this being a cooperative game, it's something that you're probably going to want to be able to replay with lots of different variation each time you play it. It looks a lot of fun, it looks very interesting, but if there's not enough variety to it, you're not going to play it that often. But it does look, because of all of the nuances, like this game will have a lot of replayability. Let me know what you think of the look of this game in the comments down below. Check it out on their official website and on Board Game Geek if you want to find out more or read the rules in full. That's it. Keep smiling. Thank you very kindly. I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, and all of that nonsense.